Retro City Rampage is not subtle about its influences. I discovered that within the first minute of booting up the game. And while I wouldn't claim Retro City Rampage is nostalgia baiting its players, there's a case to be made against how it indulges its retro nostalgia. Because I, like so many others, was not born in the 80s. I didn't watch Ghostbusters in theaters, I didn't get an NES for Christmas, and I didn't set foot in an arcade until the 2000s. So playing Retro City Rampage is a weird experience for me. I've been around the internet enough to know most of what Retro City is parodying, but I haven't necessarily experienced it firsthand, which is something that VBlank Entertainment, the developers of Retro City, most likely took into consideration, because the time between jokes is short, very short. Hardly a minute went by without another wink wink nudge nudge reference popping up. It's a comedic pace that I found tiring during long play sessions, but I can see why this title was so well received on portable systems where shorter play sessions are the norm. However, playing Retro City Rampage on PC made me realize how little downtime it has, both in its gameplay and its comedy routine. Once it starts, Retro City rarely slows down, and it definitely doesn't stop, which is a shame because the elaborate missions that blend tight gameplay and nostalgic homage are some of Retro City's finest moments. Playing the original Paperboy isn't a requirement to enjoy the absurdity of delivering mail in the most hostile neighborhood ever, but it doesn't hurt either. As abstract and subjective as it is, nostalgia is powerful. Most of the time, Retro City Rampage uses it as fodder for its abundance of jokes, many of which rely on 80s and 90s pop culture, but the constant reliance on references from over 2 decades ago gets tiresome, or at least it did for me. Of the different ways Retro City acknowledges its influences, referencing old games and movies for a few easy jokes is the least interesting. There's a reason this dog is so iconic, as anyone who's played Duck Hunt will know, but including him for a throwaway joke seems more like a callback to the good old days than a genuine attempt at comedy, an issue that plagues Retro City Rampage as a whole. In contrast, there's an excellent moment during the opening level that parodies Frogger by forcing players to cross the street while an endless stream of buses race by. Players should be able to make it across, but as you can see, this frog didn't. It's not subtle, complicated, or all that clever, but this is a moment that demonstrates Retro City Rampage's genuine enthusiasm for old games and movies. Even if a player has no idea what Frogger is, they could still find the humor of this situation and experience the frustration of traffic dodging, just like in those good old days. Because the greatest use of nostalgia isn't pandering. Nostalgia, as I define it, is a fondness for something that is no longer. Maybe that something is a moment or period of life that's passed, or a discontinued ice cream flavor, but whatever it is, it's probably worth sharing with others. And that aspect of nostalgia puts video games at a unique advantage. When Retro City Rampage isn't trying to keep its mile-a-minute comedic pacing, gameplay segments like that Frogger section are often the result. Fun and humorous moments regardless of when you were born, because it's not an inside joke. It's multi-layered, and players may not get parts of it, but they'll still understand the joke. Like watching a cartoon with a friend from their childhood, players are being invited into something new to them rather than being excluded from something because they're not already familiar with it. Those are the moments when Retro City Rampage shines, and I wish it had more of them. But with Retro City's spiritual successor on the way in the form of Shakedown Hawaii, I hope VBlank Entertainment keeps shining.